That tavern scene in episode 12 with Wei Yan and Wei Xiao completely and totally convinced me that the adaptation, even though it's not faithful to the original material, is actually a good thing. And wow, I'm so glad Song Zor paid her taxes, because just imagine we would have been deprived of this. And yeah, it's just sad. Hello and welcome to Talk About Drama, where we talk about what's hard and what's not in the drama world. And today, finally, we're going to talk about The Prisoner of Beauty, Joyao, also known as The Marquis is Innocent, even though The Marquis is really not innocent, but we'll get to that later. So Song Zor finally got freed of her tax evasion charges and her dramas are on air. And even though Prisoner of Beauty was rumoured to air, I think last month, there was a bit of a time because I think they wanted to promote it properly after the Demon Hunters romance did well. And I'm so glad that they didn't decide to air it. And the airing schedule is actually not that bad. So you have quite a decent number of episodes out already. And at the moment, I have caught up to episode 19 and wow, genuinely wow. Because Song Zor, again, is such an incredibly powerful actress, and Liu Yuning has improved so much. Like, the micro expressions, especially when he's looking, when Wei Xiao is looking at Xiao Xiao, I'm like, that boy is in love. And you can see it in his eyes, he is genuinely awestruck. And the first moment they see each other, I need that BGM, and I need it now. Because the entire drama is such a wild roller coaster, and the director knows what he's doing. Like this person, Dunker, he knows the art of visual storytelling, and you can see that. Like episode 12, the tavern scene. Oh my god. The way the music starts with that bangle, because that jade stone is associated with Wei Yan, and then you actually see Wei Yan sort of stumbling around in his own turf in the tavern, where the music cuts out when it goes on to Wei Xiao, because he's not a part of it. But the moment he enters into Wei Yan's turf, the music starts all over again, and it's crazy. And it's used so well, and the use of lights, the use of angles, because it's all of the people in the tavern, it's noisy, it's chaotic, and there's like silk and sleeves flying everywhere. But the only person that you are seeing in the moment is Wei Xiao, how he's navigating through the entire thing. He finally manages to find Wei Yan at the top, like the king of the jungle, overseeing it, because he's luring him into his own trap. And he successfully gets him in. He steals his face token and, tries to sow discord between Wei Xiao and Xiao Xiao. So, and the BGM, like the soft, beautiful BGM that plays when Xiao Xiao and Wei Xiao are together. And the moment it starts, something is going to happen. Like the moment it goes, It's crazy, and it's such good visual storytelling, because you're showing us rather than telling us, which a lot of dramas fail to do because they over-attack a lot of actions. But over here, without dialogues, you're conveying a story, and the BGM is not overpowering the story. It's not taking over, but it's complementing it. And this has been consistent throughout the 19 episodes that I've watched. Like in episode 1, when Xiao Xiao and her grandfather, like they're having this conversation with each other, like when her uncle and her dad are like discussing like who should we send for the marriage alliance to the Weis, and Xiao Xiao and her grandfather is they're just looking at each other, and she points, like she just raises an eyebrow, and he's like, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. And he intervenes. So Xiao Xiao is like a kingmaker. So she's playing her hand silently, because she's not trying to stand up for herself and make herself visible so that people get suspicious of her, or people notice her, that did you have something to do with this sister's disappearance? She's just quietly sitting there in the background, and she's quietly conveying to her grandfather that what, it's time for you to speak up, and I would be happy to go into that position. But she herself can't stand up and be like, oh well, I'll go in her place. No, her grandfather has to be the one to accept it, because her uncle would only listen to the grandfather, and it works. She's able to switch them, and she eventually goes to the Weis, and she tries to give him honey as a bargain for going through with the marriage. And But you know what? More than that, more than Wei Xiao and Xiao Xiao's relationship, I actually like the way they've constructed these two sisters. Like the moment you see Da Chao, the elder sister, she's beautiful in the meadow dancing with that crown of flowers on her head, and she's nowhere in the world. She doesn't know what's going to befall her if she actually goes through with the marriage to Wei Xiao. And she has this person that she loves in BG, but he's just a horse groom. He's basically nothing. He's a servant in the house. I remember reading the original novel, and once BG saves Xiao's brother in battle or something, her father's like, I tell him that, he's absolved of everything from the Chao family and he can come in as a son-in-law of the family and sort of bring that Chao back. And for her to aim for this person that, the families would never ever consider, but on her part, she's not going to run away. She knows her responsibility and she's going to see it through, because the life that she's been given, the privilege that she has, it's all thanks to the people that she serves, and she's aware of that, and she's more than ready to sacrifice herself of her affections for this person. But Xiao Xiao, she sees that and she knows that, and she's not ready to sacrifice her sister, so she tries to make sure that her sister goes away. And the scene where she asks her sister to give her something to remember her by, and she goes like, oh, but is it just this? And, she ends up collecting all of her sister's precious things and she gives them back to her as a dowry of sorts in order to go and set up a new life. And I genuinely cried because it was so bittersweet. Because on one hand, Xiao Xiao wanted a good life for her sister, but she didn't know that, she was, instead of pulling her sister out of that swamp, stepping in herself. And I think that, even if she knew what was going to happen to her, she probably would have gone through with the switch anyways, because she knows that, her sister's happiness is with that one person. Because Xiao Xiao herself, she doesn't have somebody that she loves, that she wants to protect. So she would be more than happy to take her sister's place, because at the end of the day, she's a free bird who's ready to be caged. But Da Chao, she already has somebody. She has affections for that one person, and to rip her apart from that person and then thrust her into this cruel world. Plus, she's not, I wouldn't say she's not as clever, but she's more mellow and she's more good-tempered than her younger sister. So that Chao probably wouldn't have been able to assert herself the way Xiao Chao did with Wei Xiao. And I really liked the first episode, the way it set up a story. It introduced you to these two sisters and it told you the crux of the story in the first 10 minutes, that this is what happened and this is what's going to happen. And the moment the sister runs away, you know what's going to happen. And in the background, the story builds up Wei Xiao as well. And the episode ends with their first meeting, and Wei Xiao literally just pulls the curtain back to have just one look, because he's not very concerned about the Chao's daughter. He just wants to see who this person is who's come so far, who's this crazy person who's come so far to give herself in marriage. And in the moment he sees her, he's awestruck. That's the only word for that expression. He's awestruck. And for that one moment, he forgets himself. And when she looks down, he breaks contact, because the first person to look away is Xiao Xiao. And with Xiao Xiao, she's curious about this person. She wants to know that, why did they go through with their marriage? And who is this person? This mighty General of the Wei family. And it's actually so good. It's actually so well done. And honestly, I actually have no complaints with the way the story is going because, and I'll tell you why. So I looked up on MDL and there's only one scriptwriter listed, and the first 4 episodes are so well done, but the story starts meandering around episode 5 and 6. And I thought that why are they going so off script, and it might just dissolve into one of those shows where it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. And the over convoluted family politics and just unnecessary drama all around. And I was a little bit disappointed when I went to episode 10 because, again, it's very different from the novel. And I understand that, you can't exactly adapt the novel as it is, because Xiao Qiao in the novel is technically, she transmigrated into the world and she lived one life and then she regressed. And this is her second life. So she's a combination of a transmigrator and a regressor, like from what I remember, and it's very complicated. So she does have the 21st century ideals, but she's already lived that life once, so she does know like what's expected of her as a lady of that century. But you obviously can't do that and that's actually very similar to the story of Kunning Palace, where the main character, I think she was just a regressor, but it was in the story, but I really didn't want that. But they actually set up the story as someone's life that they're living through. So Xiao Xiao is not a transmigrator or a regressor. This is her first life, and she's living through it diligently and the best that she could. So in order to set up the story in line with the novel, but taking away the elements that probably would have gotten them banned, they decided to set it up as her first life. So she's not a regressor, she's not a transmigrator, she's just living her life, and how it goes is something that we're following. So I thought that, after the 4 episodes, it went downhill a little bit, because the characters, they very much differ from the way that they were set up in the novel. And I actually read the novel quite recently, because I had lost all hope in The Prisoner of Beauty ever airing. So I thought, why not? Might as well just read the novel. And then Song Zuo's drama started dropping, and I was like, yeah. But yeah, anyway, and the way that Xiao Xiao behaves, which is very different from the novel Xiao Xiao, which is more held back, more demure, more restricted. And the drama Xiao Xiao is more feisty. She stands up for herself. She stands up to people around her, and she's not afraid of letting out her frustrations. She's not afraid of lashing out, and she's not afraid of giving her thoughts to her mother-in-law and standing up to Wei Xiao herself. Like, she literally hit that boy with a scroll and called him his first name. Like, no, wait, Xiao Xiao would have never. Even though she does slap him quite a few times, it's for self-defense, and it's for a very valid reason. So yeah, and the novel Wei Xiao is more, he's not stubborn. Like, he is stubborn in the beginning, but he's more of mulishly bullish. Like, he's I don't know how to describe him. Like, his behavior is erring on the side of patriarchal behavior, like that typical high-standing aristocratic lord. But he's not afraid of prostating himself in front of his wife, and he's quite afraid of her and the way that she reacts to certain things. And he's very much into wife chasing throughout the novel. So, but drama Wei Xiao is more of a young dandy dark lord who's actually been through quite a lot of shit, but he's not exactly the dark bloodthirsty hero that we saw in the novel. And he's not as bullish, and he's not erring on the side of patriarchy, and he's not that much caught up in the protocols of that time. Like, he's very much okay with Xiao Xiao giving an earful to his mother for drugging him. And we had that, I would say, curse scene where the female lead walks away and the male lead appears from behind the wall, because he's like eavesdropped on the conversation, and he's like, "You stood up for me, interesting." And I was like, wow, this can actually go downhill so fast. And it didn't. It actually didn't. It actually pulled itself back up. Like, it pulled its socks back up, and the behavior made so much sense. Because Xiao Xiao, she walked into the library and she saw Wei Xiao literally huddled in the corner because he was afraid of the thunder and the dark. And the candle went out, and he clutched on her for dear life. And he showed vulnerability in front of her. He showed that, I'm actually a person. I'm still a scared child. Because the one thing that we forget is Wei Xiao, he had to learn to be an adult at a very young age. He had to go to wars, so he's more used to bloodshed and the horrors of war than he is to gentle company. And because he's spent so much time with soldiers, he's forgotten how to act around people. And when he first met Xiao Xiao, the only thing in his mind was revenge. Because to him, watching his own brother, his own father, his own grandfather get slaughtered in front of him was the memory that he wanted to keep, because that's something that's fueling his hatred towards this person, towards this family, and what's fueling him to go ahead and take up the family mantle and fight the people who are against him. Because it's not better phrases for this guy. He's had to fight internal rebellion, and while his grandmother helped him quite a lot, because she stepped in and she made sure that Wei Xiao stood in his rightful position, to him it was gratitude, and it was also a debt, because grandmother has given me this big responsibility, I must fulfill it. And that anger really helped him be on his feet and do what he did at such a young age. And that stunted emotional development is showing now when Xiao Xiao is trying to pursue a romantic relationship with him, and he's absolutely no idea. Like, he's so clueless and so blind to everything. Like, even the people around him are like, it's better if you don't see anything. And like I said, it could have gone downhill so fast, and it didn't. And, you know, these people, they made me feel sad for Wei Yan. Like, I didn't think this was possible, but I actually felt so sad for Wei Yan, because this person, his only question is, who am I? What is my role in this whole thing? Why am I even here? What is my identity? Because he wants to do great things. He knows he's meant for great things, but he's bound, he's constricted by this family, by these ties, and he doesn't know how to break free. And, you know, he's been given this opportunity where he's the heir. He's the person in power. He's had the chance to go to that position, but he's constricted by the Wei family, the Wei surname. Because again, these are the people that, you know, he has a debt of gratitude because they've raised him. They are the people who've sheltered him for so many years in his life. And these are the people that trust him. And for him to find out then, you know, while he's already so frustrated with the constraints of his position, you know, his grandmother doesn't let him take a very important position. Because if you see in the family hierarchy, Wei Xiao's older brother would have been the rightful heir. And I think Wei Yan would probably not have objected to that. But since the older brother is gone, the next person in line technically is Wei Yan, because he's older than Wei Xiao, and, you know, he's the second in line. But it skips him and goes straight to Wei Xiao, because Wei Yan is the daughter of the family's son. So he's not the son's son, he's a daughter's son. So that automatically puts him out. And because he's not completely of Wei blood, his grandmother herself, like, if the subtitles are correct, his grandmother herself said that, you know, because you're of Chen blood, I have to be sure that, you know, you don't go around and betray me one day. So I have to be cautious around you. I do spoil you because I want to make up for everything that I've done to you, but I can't really be unrestrictive towards you. I think that's actually quite sad, because in a way, the way that grandmother is treating Wei Yan, he's still the pearl in her hand, so she's still giving him all the care and love and protection, but she's not actually letting him live his life. And in a way, she's treating him like, you know, it's her daughter. She's giving all of that care and that love, but in a way, she's not treating him as Wei Yan, but as her daughter's child. So in a way, Wei Yan's own identity is not being recognized. And it's not until, you know, he finally has it out with the grandmother that, you know, he finally finds an identity for himself in his family. And I think that was so nice. And I actually felt bad for that guy. And oh my god. And I actually felt bad for Lady Sui Huang, because the way that they've set up this character is, again, if the subtitles are right, she was supposed to be engaged to Wei Xiao's elder brother. So to her, it's a bitter pill to swallow, because, you know, she lost her fiancé. She got married in a faraway land to this guy who's so sickly. I think she might have poisoned him, but for now, he was so sickly that he passed away. And she has no foothold. She has no heir to speak of, so she can get kicked out once this person passes away. And to see that, you know, his younger brother is bringing in a wife from the family that, you know, killed the person that she was supposed to marry. She's bitter. She has this whole empress fate on her forehead, but the person who could have taken her to that point and made her the empress, his Wei Xiao's elder brother, he's no longer in this world. So now she has to put designs on this other guy to make sure that, you know, she realizes her fate, because now that's the only thing that she has left. Because, you know, her family, the Su family, would probably not recognize her as a daughter anymore, because it's probably more afraid of this Chen Pang person. And Su Xin, she tried to get him in as, you know, her adopted son, but that didn't work out, and, you know, her husband passed away. And for her to lament on this, that, you know, the difference between us, our families, the way that we've been raised, because her fate of being an empress is something that put her on a pedestal and gave her all of this recognition, this notoriety. But at the end of the day, if it's not recognized, she would just be someone who was known to have a fate of an empress, but becomes a laughing stock, because, again, the only thing that she could do was be an empress for like a fortnight and then die because her husband died and she really has no power. So in her life, she's been constrained by this. And now she's feeling frustrated because she wants to make sure that, you know, she has a foothold in this world. And the only way that she could have is by fanning Wei Xiao's guilt and sort of making him take her in as a concubine and, you know, eventually rising up in the ranks. But that does not happen, and Wei Xiao kicks her out quite well. And I quite like the way that, you know, they changed her personality, because she is a sympathetic character now. Because when you see that scene where, you know, she has to wipe her lotus mark from her forehead because, you know, she's awaiting capture, and then she's drawing it all back on like an obsessive person, because to her that mark is the person that she is. It's the thing that identifies her. It's the thing that makes her, and it's the only thing that she has left that, you know, makes her her. And if that thing is taken off from her, she's no longer this person who has this empress fate, and she's no longer this high and mighty person. She's just a regular common person. She's a runaway criminal. And I was kind of sad. And I would really like to see her scheme and, I know she won't get away with it, because at some point Wei Xiao does catch her, and, there's this whole thing that happens, and it eventually gets her in that butterfly mask, and it's shown in the opening credits as well. But her first look when she's in Yueyang, and, she gets off a carrot and she opens the curtains, and she's so beautiful. And Shu En Lu, again, she's so beautiful, and she plays this character so well. And you can see the desperation, that anger, that resentment, but there's no submission, because she's not submitting to her fate. She knows she's meant for great things, and she's ready to do whatever it takes to go there. So I do respect the hustle, but yeah, don't get between Wei Xiao and Xiao Xiao. Like the barely getting their footing. Please don't do that. And wow, they really, really pulled a fast one with the way they kill Wei Dian. Like I didn't see that coming. There's one moment he was stroking his armor, and he was like taking his helmet, and then there's a sword through him, and he's dead. Just like that. No fanfare. No big bad villain. He's an added character. He was in the original novel, as far as I remember. And he was such a meddling person, because, again, Wei Xiao didn't go against him publicly, but at the end of the day, Wei Xiao got the last laugh, because he died. His army got absorbed into Wei Xiao's cavalry, and now it has to build a canal for them in Rongjun. Even though they wanted to oppose that, they were using the cavalry to sort of threaten the prefect of that district to oppose Wei Xiao, because they wanted to control that region. And it was just done. And he was made up to be this whole big bad person. I thought in the future he might collude with Xiao Chao's uncle, Da Chao's father, and try and gaslight Wei Xiao into thinking that, the Chao family were rebelling against them, and sort of fan the flames and get Xiao Chao kicked out and basically sow discord. But he's gone. Like a big bad villain, he's gone. And he wasn't even killed by Wei Xiao. He was killed by one of his underlings. And it really surprised me, and it delighted me, because you have this one person who's set up to be this big villain, and he's not the big villain. So they have much more in store for them, and they're setting up these people to be not invincible, because they're all humans. They can be killed by a stroke of a sword. And it's highlighted when Wei Chu sort of pulls the sword out and he cleans it, and he's like, oh yeah, have a good rest, like it's just a sword through him and it's done. And I was like, yeah, it's just a sword through and it's done. Like he made sure to check for his breath, and he made sure that he's dead before he moved on. And I was like, yes, I love you so much. So many times you don't complete the job, and you get snitched out, and then there's an all-out war. And I was like, for once you're using your mind, you're using your brains, and I applaud you for that, Wei Chu. I applaud you, I really do. And the way they turned the prefect and Wei Dian against each other was like chef's kiss, because they didn't have to do anything. They were just sitting there and enjoying the play. And like I really, really like the way they've built up the story, and I really like the way that they're continuing to build up the story, because now Wei Xiao is going to have a mouthful of vinegar because another person is coming into picture, and there might be some tensions. But yeah, let's see. And another honorable mention to Lu Yan. Like, I haven't seen Ji Xiaobing in a hot minute, so it was nice to see him. And it really caught me off guard, because I didn't know he was playing Lu Yan. But yeah, it really made me hate his guts. But I really liked that scene, because Wei Xiao had completely given up on Xiao Xiao, because he said, come here. And so I was like, it's better if you hadn't spoken. And I really, really felt her fear, her anger, her resentment. But because she only had two ways, and she chose Wei Xiao, and she ran towards him. And like I said, the building them up so well, because he saw that, she chose him without him saying anything, because he gave up when he started talking about the childhood. He gave up because he knows that he can't compete with that. When he saw her dashing towards him, he gave no Fs, and he ran towards her. He grabbed her, and afterwards as well, he was walking around the streets with her on his back. And when she said, I'm telling you, I'm not going to marry you, and he lifts her up again, because he's not quite pleased to hear the words. But it was so sweet. And then tragedy strikes, and Xiao Chao's grandfather dies, and the wedding scene, oh my days. Like, how miserable can you be in a wedding scene? And it's just amped up, because on one hand she's in mourning her grandfather, the person that she probably was the closest to in that family after her father passed away, and she didn't even know that. And now she has to go through with this wedding, because if she doesn't do it now, she has to wait for the mourning to end, and it would be too late. And there's a very good chance Wei Xiao might change his mind, so she has to do that now when he's ready to go through with it. And for him not completing the rituals and effectively humiliating her in front of everybody was so sad. And the way he just walked out of the chamber moment she collapsed because she couldn't take it anymore. Because she knows that, she's here for a purpose, and she can't really be like, damn you, and walk out because he's humiliated her. Because if she does that, it puts the whole alliance in danger. It's her that's stopping Wei Xiao from attacking Yeonjo and her family. She's effectively their shield. And if she's removed, Wei Xiao is this person who would probably stop at nothing to end this family, because right now he's burning in these flames of hatred and he wants an outlet, and not completing the riots was his way of standing with his family, standing with his brother, his father, his grandfather, but also keeping his grandmother's word that, I've got married, but all of those rituals I haven't completed. The wine I'm offering to you today because I'm doing it for you guys, and in the future I will retaliate. I will get your revenge for you. Like, I'm not giving in. I'm simply putting it off for this while. And that oppressive feeling that you got. She's only a girl. She's barely out of a boudoir. She's clever, yes, but as a girl she was so restricted. And and at one point even her grandfather's like, I wish you would have been a boy, but unfortunately you're a girl. And she was restricted by her family. There's only so much that she can do. And to feel they're so far away from her own family, there's no one to turn to, your future is uncertain. And in her eyes, her husband is a hatred-fueled person who was ready to kill her like 2 seconds ago. So yeah, it's really sad, the circumstances of marriage, but it had to happen. And she slowly climbed the ranks. She slowly made a name for herself in the family, and she became Lady Wei. And slowly it got to a point where Wei Xiao was ready to take his brother's jade and get it made into a bracelet, because she lost the original one and he didn't want her to be blamed for it. And I think that was the best, like the highlight of it. Even though when they found the bracelet, he was so sad. And he was really looking forward to like being her hero, but like she rescued herself. Well, Wei Yan rescued her, but yeah, you get the gist. And I hope that they keep up the game of wits, like the way they did before their marriage, when Wei Xiao had the mural torn down because he wanted her sympathy, because he wanted her to see him in a good light, and he was manipulating her into giving that seal to him, and then he kicked her out ruthlessly. And that smile, like Liu Ying can really, really play a great character, and I really wish that they would have kept a little bit of that in the future, but it would have defeated the purpose. So I do understand. I do wish that they collaborate again in the future, where Liu Ying is completely unhinged, like proper unhinged. And I really hope that he does get to play an unhinged character in the future, because he really has the potential. Like him and Zhang Linghe, like great characters are their thing, I think, and they really do well. But yeah, somebody get me that BGM in a CD. And if you're not convinced, if you don't know if you want to watch it or not, just watch the opening credits. Like, I just tuned in and the opening credits started playing, and the wedding scene was the first one. I was like, oh, she looks beautiful. And the subtitles and the visuals go together so well. Like, I never skip it. I never, ever skip it. Every time I watch an episode, I always go back to that moment where Xiao looks up at him shyly and the subtitles read, I want to be a hero. That moment still gives me goosebumps. Like, they really used 100% of the brain power in this. And even though I'm a little sad that, we didn't really get to see the grandmother and daughter-in-law bonding as much as we did in the novel. And, Wei Xiao's mother is not as unhinged as she was in the novel. Which, for one, I'm glad, because her actions really impacted Xiao and really hurt her at the end. And because her actions as a mother-in-law dominating and domineering her daughter-in-law was just sad. And surprisingly, Zheng Xue was killed off so early. But I don't think she's really dead, because we didn't really actually see her. But she's dead for now, so let's see. And I don't know if they're going to do the whole poisoning incident and Xiao leaving for her maternal family. She does that twice, I think. And probably Xiao won't be pregnant for the later of the drama, because we barely have any episodes left. And we're probably not going to see Fei Fei, which is really sad, because Fei Fei and Wei Xiao's interactions, Fei Fei was beautiful in the novel, and I really wish that they could have done it, but it's just 36 episodes and we're at 20 now. And there's going to be this big battle, and I do hope that Xiao takes up the battle mantle and, defends city while Wei Xiao is away, because that was something that was the highlight of it. And I don't know how they're going to play with the conflicts, because in the novel, Wei Xiao learned by trial and error, and trial was a small part, but error was like in big bold words, because he really errored out a lot of times, and it hurt Xiao so much. But he slowly understood what his wife wanted and what she didn't, and at the end And, he apologized for everything, and he told her that I didn't want to be constrained by this anger, by this hatred towards you. And I thought that, everything's okay. Every time you said thank you, every time I hurt you, I thought it was a given, because you were here as a gift to this family. You were here as somebody sent to make up for everything, because you were sent here to soothe that anger, that resentment. So it was okay to treat you that way. It was okay to do those things, but it was not okay, and I'm sorry for it. I think at one point, people are pressuring Wei Xiao into taking a concubine. He's like, I'm henpecked, okay? I don't want a concubine. But yeah, please, just sail my ship for now. But we're probably going to have some progress with the jealousy part coming in. And we do know Wei Xiao understands his feeling when, Wei Liang was telling him why he didn't want to marry the prefect's daughter. And Wei Xiao understood that, this is exactly how I feel about this person, and I think I'm in love with her. So he does know that, and he admits that in his own roundabout way, but he's not got a single gentle romantic bone in his body. So I do hope it changes a little bit, because I do want some beautiful, cute moments. Because I know, even though it's not an R-rated drama, the novel was R-rated. And at least show us something, like, it's been 19 episodes. Really, just something. Because you're not following the strict decorum of that time, because no daughter-in-law has the guts to stand up to a mother-in-law the second day after marriage and basically hit her husband with a scroll and shout at him, Wei Xiao, get up. So, and she threw the scrolls at him, and Wei Xiao was like, I'm not going to get you back for that. And he just runs away, because Wei Xiao is a scaredy cat. And it runs in the Wei family men, because Wei Xiao and Wei Yan, both of them, they ran away the moment they saw there was a problem. Wei Yan ran away from his grandmother, and Wei Xiao ran away from his wife. So they are Wei men, and they do know the art of deflecting and running away. But I do hope that, Xiao Qiao finally pulls the reins back and be like, stop running away and just be with me. So, I do hope we see that before shit hits the fan, and we have the final battle between Chunpeng and Wei Xiao. So I really like to see Wei Yan take Chunpeng's position and run Bianzhou, while Wei Xiao has the Wei state and coexist with each other. But yeah, we still have a decent episodes to go. So, but yeah, in conclusion, please watch it. It's so good, and somebody please get me the BGM in a CD, or just give it to me on Spotify. Like Wei Xiao and Xiao Qiao's theme song, I would like to think of it as a theme song. Like it's so beautiful, and I want it yesterday. So yeah, hopefully they release all the BGMs, and in conclusion, please watch it. It's genuinely worth your time, and it might slow down a little bit in the middle, like after episode 4 or 5, but just bear through that. It makes sense, I promise you, and the characters really do build up. So yeah, please watch it. And yeah, as you already know, Talk About Drama is now available on all major streaming platforms, so you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Podcast, and YouTube. And you can reach out to me on comments on YouTube. Spotify allows you to leave comments as well, or you can just reach out to me on socials. It's Talk_About_Drama on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, watch it, please. It's actually so good, and let me know how you feel about it. And I hope you guys have a good week. And final obligatory thank you to Songzhu or Lorena Song for paying her taxes and being a model citizen. Thank you so much. And I really hope Reading Class gets released soon. And I really hope that you guys are having a good week as well. And I'll see you next time. Until then, ciao.